and happy Wednesday. I am here and it's Wednesday. It's noon Pacific time. I live in California, and that means it's 3 p.m. on the East Coast. And I am excited to be here as always on Wednesdays to talk about art, creativity, and surface pattern design. I want to say hello to my sweet Pauline Riley. How are you, Pauline? I'm wondering if this can come back across. It still can. You're over on Facebook and you've checked in on YouTube. Thank you so much, Pauline. And say hello if you are here with me. Say hello in the comments. I can see Jody is here. Oh my gosh, it's so great to see you, Jody, and I know you and I have a chance to connect now that my launch is over, which was fabulous, and I cannot wait to connect with you, Jody. So just give me a couple more days to let the dust settle, and then you and I will connect. It is 8 p.m. in Wells, right? Wet and windy Wales. Okay, Pauline, thank you for joining us in the wet and windy Wales where you live. Sandra is here, and it looks like Amika is here. I can also see Gabrielle, so welcome, welcome, welcome. What I like to do on these Wednesday chats is I like to talk about my blog. And if you're on my email list, you get a blog from me every Tuesday morning. I send it out at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this week I wanted to dive into a topic that I think comes up for us a lot. So you'll have to let me know if this resonated with you, but it comes up a lot. It comes up a lot for me, and I think it comes up a lot for many of you as well. And it is imposter syndrome. So let me know in the comments if this ever pops up for you, where you are trying to either accomplish a goal or you're starting to learn new skills. Maybe you're taking a new class. Maybe you're in a new coaching program. And you have this fear that you're not good enough or that you might fall behind. Or you feel like an imposter. It's like, should I really be in this group? Am I good enough to be in this group? Or am I good enough to pursue this career? And it comes up, it's a regular occurrence, exactly. It comes up all the time. So I wrote about it in my blog yesterday, and when I come on live to chat with you and to say hello, I like to kind of just take it a little bit deeper and also make sure you know where to find it if you missed it. So I'm going to share my screen and go over to my website because I always love for you to pop over to my website and I want you to know where it is. So I'm going to share my screen. And what you're going to see in just a second, I want to make sure I can see that you're seeing it at the same time I am. This is my website, AnnLaFolletteArt.com. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of a tour because some of you are fairly new here. You may not have really done, kind of gotten a little bit of a tour of what my website looks like and all the fantastic resources here. So I have courses. So if you click on courses, I have 3 programs. I have Atelier, which is a membership program, and it's only actually for graduates of my Pattern Design Academy program. I have a Doodles program, which I offer from time to time. And I did it recently. I did it a couple weeks ago. And then after Doodles is over, I open up registration or enrollment to my Pattern Design Academy program. And that's what I'm doing right now. I have a brand new class. It's fantastic. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. If you have one of my courses, if you've purchased one of these programs, you can log in to access it by using this login button. I also provide a whole bunch of resources. So I'm going to click on this resources so that you can see it takes you over to this wonderful place where I tell you all about the tools and resources that I love to use in my creative practice. And I see you, Pauline, mentioning that who on earth do I think I am goes through my mind too often, right? We do. We start to pursue something new, and we're, of course, a beginner, because at the beginning, we're all beginners when we're learning something new, but we can get this voice inside our head who says, who am I to think that I can be successful at this? So I'm going to dive more into kind of my survival guide for imposter syndrome, but I also wanted to give you a bit of a tour of my website. So this is the tools and resources page. So if I scroll down here, you're going to see my list of the essential tools that I use pretty much every day. So I use Adobe Illustrator every day. I use my sketchbook every day. I use a ton of pens and pencils. One of my current favorites that you can get here if you'd like is my Molotow fine liners. I love them. This will send you to sort of a set of 11 of them. And then I don't have a fancy camera. I just use my smartphone. Or what's down here is I will sometimes use tracing paper. Sometimes I will also use my iPad that has my Apple Pencil, because that is really fun. And I know that, Pauline, you use your iPad all the time with your Apple Pencil. And you could also try a drawing tablet that's called a Wacom. This will take you to sort of the most accessible one, because iPads are kind of expensive. But these are additional resources that I use pretty much all the time in my creative practice. I also have a scanner and I have a light box. And I use the light box frequently when I'm actually tracing something, using the tracing paper to make it even more kind of exact before I bring it into Adobe Illustrator. And then I wanted to also give you some of the watercolor supplies that I use. These are just some of my favorites. You can check them out. And then I wanted to also make sure you saw my books on creativity and entrepreneurship here. So I love these books. These are my favorite books. From Wabi Sabi to The Artist Way to Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic. I also have some business books, right? This is a Graphic Artist Guild handbook, which is a business book. Launch is how to launch products online. This is a really, really great book. Playing Big by Tara Moore, who actually lives in the Bay Area near me. This is a wonderful book. So these are my favorite books that, of course, I love to recommend. And then there's just a little bit of a message down here about me, and this picture was taken in Paris in the neighborhood where I grew up, because I was just there last year. But so this is basically the really, really fun tab on my website. So if I go back to my website, it's here under this resources tab. You can also shop my products on both Society6 and Spoonflower by going to the shop drop-down menu. You can learn a little bit more about me and join my email list by coming to the join button. Now, I write a blog every week, and I'm going to pop over to the blog over here on the right in just a second. But let's scroll down, right? Because there is more down here below. So I wanted to make sure that today, if you don't have my free ebook that talks about surface design, you can click here to get it. Or you can also notice it's up here at the top. Grab my free ebook, How to Get Started in Surface Pattern Design. And it's a great free ebook. You'll get lots of examples of my students, many of whom are pictured right here, who have joined my community and my programs to learn about surface design. But this is a free way for you to learn more about it. So grab your free copy of my ebook. And you can also then scroll down further and see other resources that I have available for you as a creative person. So this is another place where you can get my surface design ebook. If you love to go to craft fairs and sell your own products at craft fairs, this is a wonderful guide that will show you exactly how to maximize your experience so that you can earn between $1,000 or more at your next event, your next 2 or 3 day weekend event. And there's it's a very extensive guide. I talked to you about how to merchandise. I talked to you about a price. I talked to you about inventory management so you don't overbuy. I tell you about your table setup. I tell you about the extra supplies you need. It's a totally very, very in-detailed guide for you to set you up for success if you want to do a craft fair. And then, of course, here are some additional favorite art supplies that I love. This is a more extensive list of art supplies, but as I mentioned, if you come back up to the top of the page, you can find additional resources, including my favorite books here under this resources tab. If I scroll down just a little bit more, I wanted to let you know this is another place to get the free ebook, so I don't want you to miss it. This is actually this is a little video in the background of my creative studio, and we're doing some repairs in there right now, which is why I am not broadcasting from there, but I will be there soon. And then there's lots of fantastic testimonials from my students about how investing in my programs is like the best investment they've ever made. And then you can subscribe right here to my email list as well. And here we are on my weekly Wednesday chat. You are with me right now. Please follow me on Instagram. You can click here to follow me on Instagram if you're not following me already. And let me come back up to the top. That's your tour of my website. And I want to pop over to the blog. So the blog this week, I write it every single week, so you can go back and read old copies if you'd like, old blog posts, because I've been doing this now for about almost 6 years. And yesterday's was about imposter syndrome. So here we go. Let's jump in here to imposter syndrome, your survival kit. And the headlines, and I'm going to come back on screen to talk about these some more, is just this comes up all the time. And this is what I wanted to talk about today because it comes up all the time. No matter how accomplished we are, when we're embarking, even if we're in the area where we're incredibly accomplished, we frequently think that we're not as good as we should be, or that someone's going to discover that we're actually not as good as they think we are. We have all of this imposter syndrome that pops up all the time. And so my survival guide is kind of my approach to how to move through it, right? Because you have to figure out how to move through it and you can acknowledge those voices and say, thank you very much. I'm here. I hear you, but I'm going to move forward anyway and continue to hone my skills and continue to gain confidence. But there is room for me here. I am actually I should be at this table. I'm excited to be at this table. I deserve to be at this table or in this course or in this industry. And my survival kit is really all about what you can do to help you move through it when you're feeling that way. And one of the things is just to acknowledge the fact that it's a human condition. We have this fear all the time, but it's not fact-based. So if you think about it for a second and realize this is not fact-based, this is just a fear that I have. Everybody has it, no matter how accomplished they are. Even my friends like Amy Porterfield, who goes on stage all the time, she recently did a podcast about how even before she goes on stage, and she's been on stage many, many times, she still has butterflies in her stomach. She still gets nervous, and she still has this voice inside her head saying, what am I doing here? Is anybody going to listen to me? And of course we are. And that's true for you as well. So remember that it's a fear and it's not a fact, and hopefully that will help you. As I said before, it's really important to acknowledge it. You can't really ignore it. You should acknowledge it. I like to kind of have a conversation. It's kind of like, you have kind of the good angel on one shoulder and the bad angel on the other shoulder. And you want to acknowledge them from time to time and say, hey, thank you very much for showing up today, but I am going to continue to move forward anyway. Tell me if you have kind of the good shoulder, the good angel on one shoulder and the bad angel on the other shoulder, and you kind of need to negotiate with them from time to time. And, the bad angel is not necessarily bad per se. It just maybe that's the one who's kind of second guessing you, or it's the one who's saying, who do you think you are to be doing this? Whereas the good angel is the one that says, yeah, go, Ann, you can do it. Absolutely, you can do it. Go. Keep moving forward. You're making fantastic progress. So you have to acknowledge them, because then the voice will become first of all, they appreciate being acknowledged. And then you can actually acknowledge them, have a really quick conversation, and then continue to move forward. And then they can be quieter faster, I think. I don't know. You might want to try that and see if that works for you too. So then the other thing I wanted to say is it's very important to watch how you spend your time, right? So when you are spending your time on the things that you love to do, or on the things that are going to move your skill set forward, and you're carving out the time to do all the practicing that you need to do, that helps you build your confidence for sure. And I think that that's a really, really great habit to get into, is making sure that you are paying attention to the way you spend your time, and you're kind of moving away from things that make you feel like an imposter. And this is kind of where social media comes in. We can feel a lot like an imposter if we're on Instagram looking at everyone else's work all the time, because it can be overwhelming. And of course, everyone's work is different. So your work is different from anybody else's, but and that makes it unique to you. So I think it's important to remember, and I learned this from Tony Robbins, that what you focus on is how you feel. And so if you're on Instagram and you're starting to get those voices about, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be as good as XYZ person, then get off of social media and focus again on your own creative practice and lean into what it brings you the most joy, so that you can move away from that comparison trap, which really leads to imposter syndrome. They very much go hand in hand. And this ties into survival guide tip 4, which is that you just want to continue to make small steps forward. And in the blog, I made a typo about the number of hours 15 minutes represents. So I've done this math so many times, and I always do it wrong. So the point I was trying to make in the blog, and thank you, Karen, because Karen Poole emailed me and she said, Anne, I'm sorry to point this out, but your math is wrong in the email. So in the blog post. So the point I was trying to make, thank you, Karen, for pointing it out, was that 15 minutes a day actually is a very short amount of time, right? I think all of us can probably find 15 minutes. Maybe it's while we're eating lunch and we're doing a little sketch while we're eating lunch, or a little doodle. But 15 minutes a day translates into something like 5,700 minutes. And I had a typo there because I said 5,700 hours. So it's still a lot of hours. The overarching point is still the point I was trying to make, which is that 15 minutes a day adds up to a lot of hours. And so you can actually make a ton of progress. So I remember when I was learning the piano, I felt like I had to practice an hour a day. And sometimes that just became impossible with everything else that was happening with school and with wanting to hang out with my friends and whatever. But if I just sat down and I practiced for 15 minutes, then I was still very prepared for when my next lesson was going to happen. So I wanted to make sure you think about small steps forward, right? Small steps forward. And then I think the last one that is so important, and in my Academy program, we started out with this today. And I'm going to tell you about this new cool thing I'm doing in my Academy that we just did today that's super fun. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. But I want you to celebrate your wins. It relates to this topic. So I want you to celebrate your wins. And we don't celebrate enough. We're always looking for what's wrong. Or we're always looking for what's wrong with us. Or we're always noticing what we are lacking. Or what we're not good enough in yet. Or we're not good enough at yet. And I want to encourage you to flip the script. Right? Flip that entirely over just flip it over and only focus on the things you're really excited about. You cooked a fantastic dinner. It was delicious. You went for a walk today and it was beautiful outside and you had a chance to get out and to get some steps. You did spend 15 minutes doing something along your creative practice to move yourself forward. You had a wonderful phone call with a friend. Or you went for a walk with a friend. Maybe you got a letter in the mail from a relative or a friend. We don't get a lot of mail anymore, so it's super sweet when you get a piece of mail. But focus on the things that are actually worth celebrating and they're bringing joy into your life instead of the things that are not, that are doing the opposite. And that's just like many of you in the comments are saying, I don't watch the news very much anymore because it's so incredibly negative. That's really great, and that ties back to Tony Robbins saying what you focus on is how you feel. And so if you're doing something that's not making you feel good, switch gears and do something different. The reason celebration is so important is because it acknowledges both for you personally, but also when you're in a group. So I have my new Academy program cohort, my class cohort right now. and I've introduced something new in the program. And so if you're an affiliate, and if you're an alumni rather, you can join the program as an alumni to go through it again. And I have a mix of alumni and brand new students in the program, which is really fun because alumni who retake the course tell me over and over again, oh my gosh, there's so much new content. And actually, it's not new content, it's updated, but it's content that you probably just weren't able to absorb the first time through because it's such a rich program. And so that came up this morning in this new setup that I have, which is called a co-working session. So on Wednesdays during the Academy program, instead of having a Q&A, we have a co-working session on Zoom. It was so much fun today. We have Q&As on Fridays, so of course your questions always still get answered, but there's this new kind of rhythm happening where on Wednesdays throughout the program, we're on Zoom, so we can meet each other online, we can see each other, we can talk back and forth, I can put you in breakout rooms so you can get to know yourself, you can get to know each other in small groups. And so we had our first co-working session today. And I started it out with a celebration of a couple of the students' wins. And if you've taken the course before, or if you haven't taken it yet, in the sidebar area of the course hub, where all of the video lessons are, there are extra resources in the sidebar. And one of them is this place where you can share your wins, because I believe in celebration and how important it is to celebrate every step forward that you're making. So 2 of the students sent me wins already, and so I shared them with the whole class on the Zoom session, and we just had so much fun because it's a great way to interact, it's a great way for the students to get to know each other, and it's not just one-sided. Like, this is kind of interactive because I can see your comments, and I really appreciate your comments, and I can bring them up on screen. And so Pauline, for example, said, who on earth do I think I am? It goes through my mind a lot. And but when you're on Zoom, you can actually unmute yourself and we can have a conversation, and you can with your fellow students as well. So anyway, it's a brand new component which I just introduced for this May cohort of the Pattern Design Academy, and I'm super excited about it, and it was wonderful today. And since we just started this week, we have our first Q&A on Friday, and we're off to the races, right? We're off to the races. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, right? And so Jody, thank you very much. I totally agree that taking baby steps and celebrating our wins is super, super important, because those baby steps are eventually going to get you to have incredible accomplishments. Incredible accomplishments, because if you think about a baby, initially, a baby doesn't know how to walk. Then they start to try and they fall down, and they start to try and they fall down, and then eventually they can walk, and then they can run, right? It's all about practice and taking it one baby step at a time, and being in an environment where you're getting the support that you need, right? You're getting the support that you need. And hello, Pamela. It's lovely to see you. I hope that you're doing great. Reach out anytime. So I'm going to let you go. I've been talking for almost a half an hour, which it goes by so fast, but I don't like to take up more than about a half an hour of your time because I know you're busy. So you can grab the ebook. Pauline has put the ebook link in the comments, and you also know how to find my website now, annlafollettart.com. And you can find the ebook just by scrolling down on that front page. And I'll be back next week. I'm always here on Wednesdays, come rain or shine, unless I'm on an airplane traveling somewhere exciting. But I will be here next week. And I always like to say in closing that I am Ann LaFollette, and it's never too late to create. Bye for now, and I'll see you next week.